Greetings, peace, and greetings. We are now live. How is everyone today? Welcome, Vicky. I am doing this live directly through Google Hangouts now, right on the YouTube platform. It's a little bit easier and quicker. Whoops. It's been a little bit of time since we've done a reading from The Secret Teachings of the Tao Te Ching. And I figured before we got into that we would go ahead and do our hexagram number 43. 43. So where are we? Okay, so we're in hexagram number 43. Resoluteness. And before we get started, let me go ahead and bring out the chimes. This is Tamu Agena, Priestess Heart. So I'd like to welcome everyone here. Let's go ahead and take a nice, deep, centering breath and welcome us into this sacred space. So welcome. So we're looking at hexagram number 43. And with using the Tao Oracle by Ma Padma Devi, the key words are determination, no compromises, unwavering focus, inner resolve, integrity, a test of character, and self-examination. So I will go ahead and set that right there. And first we're going to look at the I Ching Oracle, which is, of course, translated by the late Dr. Kersang Hong, who was a professor of theoretical physics at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And he calls this particular hexagram stride. And it is lake over heaven. You have the Lake Bagua at the top, Lake Gua at the top, heaven Gua at the bottom. At an inquiry at the king's court, the captives wailed, and alarming news came from the provinces. Do not bear arms forthwith, auspicious to go somewhere. The injury in the toe. Going will bring not success, but woes. An alarmed cry. There are soldiers in the night, fear not. Injury in the face, misfortune. The gentleman walks alone rapidly, getting wet in the rain, infuriating, but harmless. And of course, as you notice, we started with the lower gua, which is the heaven gua, and then we do the upper gua, but always starting from bottom to top, bottom to top. Smarting in the buttocks. His steps are tottering, walking a goat in penitence. His words are not trusted. A gazelle goes leaping down the road, safe and sound. A dog barks. In the end, disaster comes. and that is stride, lake over heaven. Welcome, Pavel. So we're going to look at B.MSc, I Ching practitioner, of course, translation, interpretation of the I Ching. And if you haven't checked it out, please check out my interview that I did with B.MSc, I believe, sometime last month, or very early in April, very late in March. And she titles this hexagram number 43, Taking Decisive Action. So you have resoluteness from Ma Padma Devi, and Kersan Huang calls it stride. And here we have taking decisive action, Guai. After a long period of tension, there will be a breakthrough. Negotiating a barter with heaven and send the prayer upward. With full faith in the divine, your creative ideas will materialize. The prayer answered, though you will honor your word. Be careful, as there may be risks ahead. Your interests are not the only ones at stake in the endeavor. Be sure to warn others about the risk involved, but do not yet reveal your intentions. No gains from reactive combat. The solution will be a different path than the one initially conceived. Be resolute and decisive. And that is hexagram number 43. And last but not least, we're going to look at our brother Brian Brown Walker and his beautiful interpretation of the I Ching, or Book of Changes, a guide to life's turning points. Kuai, breakthrough, resoluteness, a breakthrough. Do not be drawn back into bad habits. The arrival of the hexagram Kuai indicates that a long-awaited change is at hand. A difficulty that has oppressed you over a long period is now about to dissolve. It is important to respond in the proper way. There is a temptation on obtaining relief to fall into the traps of the ego. Pride at having dispersed the trouble, self-righteousness about having triumphed through correctness, anger at one who we think was the source of the problem, or a desire to remain free from all difficulty in the future. None of these responses is appropriate to the situation at hand. What is needed now is resoluteness, a firm commitment to continuing the battle for good, and to the self-examination that makes all good things possible. This is not a time to lax back into negative mental habits and enjoy the vacation provided by the breakthrough. Do not rest on your laurels, but push forward, deepening your inner strength and your resistance to the influence of inferiors, both in yourself and others. Strengthen those around you by setting an example of self-improvement and self-correction. Great progress and good fortune are available now to one who makes proper use of the opening. So there you go. And that is the reading from Brian Brown Walker, the I Ching, or Book of Changes, a guide to life's turning points. How is everyone today? It's interesting. YouTube used to let you know how many people were watching your live, but it doesn't seem to have that anymore. Let me check this out. Yeah, looks like they've gotten rid of that. That's okay. So we have the secret teachings of the Tao Te Ching, and this is by Mantak Chia and Dao Huang. And our last reading, let's see, what did we read? We went over the communicable Tao and incommunicable Tao. We also went over a meditation, and we ended on this last paragraph. And I'm going to go ahead and reread the last paragraph as we move into bridging the communicable Tao and the incommunicable Tao. So it's really interesting. We're talking a lot about communication, and it's interesting when we attempt to communicate with others. You know, there are moments when words just get in the way, and sometimes we tend to focus more on the individual words that are said than the emotion and the sentiments that are trying to be conveyed. There's a saying that the Tao that is named is no longer the Tao. The Tao that is uttered is no longer the Tao. And to me, that sort of reminds me of is sometimes, you know, words get in the way. You try to explain something and you're thinking that you're saying one thing and the other person is hearing something completely different, even though you're both using the same words. And so sometimes it just takes a willingness to have an open heart and to expect the best and want to hear the best. And when communication using, you know, verbiage, using your words can get in the way because we tend to have so much baggage and so much emotions built into certain words so that the denotation, the definition, the true definition of that word is lost, and it becomes what we associate with that word. And even a word like love, you would think love would be something positive and beautiful. And sometimes, you know, it depends on what does a person associate with the word love. It's not always fuzzy bunnies and pink slippers. So we're going to start with the last paragraph before we move into the rest. Before something is named, it is subjected to how the observer regards it. Before Lao Tzu used the word Tao, many other words may possibly have been chosen. When something is named, changes occur due to the nature of the act of naming. Thus, the word Tao has become a fixed word with a fixed meaning, far and away from Lao Tzu's initial vision, and it is forever changing. This is why the Tao has had many names. God has many names, and we have had many names. So are we mentioning here, are those many names that we may have had were, you know, different names in previous lifetimes? Or, for instance, my name is Tamu. Some call me mother, some call me sister, some call me daughter, some call me friend, some call me, you know, healer practitioner. I have many different names. And as Vicky says, words trigger others. And that is so true. And it's like, when we're triggered by certain words, I suppose you have to, understand if a person is able, not only if they're willing, but if they're able to recognize when they're being triggered by something and that's coming from their past, or if they're unable to recognize that and they attribute to the present ill feelings or good feelings from the past. What has been expressed is not that which can be described. No matter how hard we try, we are bound to fail. Bridging the communicable Tao. In the world, everyone recognizes beauty as beauty. Since the ugly is also there, everyone recognizes goodness as goodness, since evil is also there. Since being and non being give birth to each other, difficulty and ease complete each other. Long and short measure each other. High and low overflow into each other. Voice and sound harmonize with each other. And before and after follow each other. Therefore, the sage lives in actionless engagement and preaches wordless doctrine. Welcome, Molotov Cocktail. Welcome, Divine L. Between the communicable Tao and the incommunicable Tao, the mind and the heart and the voice and the hand, there are three bridges we must navigate: the bridge of the inner voice, the bridge of mutual understanding between speaker and listener, and the bridge of language itself. The first bridge is the inner voice, which is exemplified by the baby's voice. There is no thinking or reasoning involved, only the sound of the voice. It is the soul of the Tao, the true innermost spirit of that person at the moment, in that particular place, and in that state of mind. The second bridge is the mutual connection, empathy, and understanding between the speaker and the listener. This link can either verbal, can be either verbal or nonverbal. At times, when two people hold an international phone conversation, it is not the content that matters, but the continuous connection between them. The third bridge is the use of language. When the meaning is conveyed with clear and definitive language, there will be no misunderstanding. When the information communicated is clear and the listener understands the words, the purpose of language has been successfully served. Throughout the history of human civilization, the course of mental objectification, we have evolved from the use of a single voice to the many faceted forms of oral, written, digital, audiovisual communication. We have shortened vast spatial differences by means of global telecommunication. In communicating spiritual teachings, the methods have changed dramatically, but not the source. We remain as we are. Each momentary flash of an idea differs from other moments, and each individual idea differs from others. Yet all ideas are but the manifestation of mind through the expression of soul being guided by spirit. The eternal, invariable, unwavering, enduring, and unchanging Tao is beyond expression. How can we know the Tao? Only through our own peace and desire can we open ourselves to its ever present presence. When we have peace and serenity, we capture its subtlety. When we are attracted and seduced by the passion of desire, we limit it within our own boundaries and experience it as individual or personal. When we are relaxed and free from passion and excitement, we see beyond the futile pursuit of games being played. To be lost in the passion and excitement of the game is a deviation from our connection with our center and inner balance. We are divided when we enact our little scenarios. We become as two, being and non being, birth and death, beauty and ugliness, good and bad. Being and non being give birth to each other. Difficulty and ease complete each other. Long and short measure each other. High and low overflow into each other. Voice and sound harmonize with each other. And before and after follow each other. This is how the world is harmonized in great accord. This ancient teaching enables us to become non judgmental, non prejudicial, and I cannot get that word out. Equanimous. I think I pronounced that right. I might be wrong. Between the pairs of opposites lies the hidden mystery. The mystery within the mystery is the door to all wonders. The mystery is where the unmoving center and the striving outward reach, embrace, balance, and unify. Let me read that one more time. The mystery is where the unmoving center and the striving outward reach, embrace, balance, and unify. The mystery is where perfection and competition face their opposites in a peaceful manner. The mystery is where beauty and ugliness no longer appear attractive or repulsive, where good and bad are no longer distinct. That is a lot to contemplate, to go back over, to absorb, to really meditate on. So there you have it. That is our reading from The Secret Teachings of the Tao Te Ching. And this is by Mantak Chia. who has, I mean, he's got, I, I can't even number how many books he has. Interesting enough, I mean, I have a great many of Montauk Chia's books, and apparently from here, he's been teaching in the United States since 1979. I was at a local used bookstore and happened to come across one of his very early books, an older book. I don't think this one was published in 1979. Let's see, what year does it say? It was kind of close. 1986. This book is from Iron Shirt Qigong. Iron Shirt Qigong 1. Once a martial art, now the practice that strengthens the internal organs, roots oneself solidly, and unifies physical, mental, and spiritual health. Montauk Chia. What I enjoy about Montauk Chia are his illustrations. They always make me smile. And this one is profusely illustrated by Juan Lee. You can see, so this is a more recent picture of Montauk Chia. I would say this one is about 10, 11 years old. And this one, you can see, is much younger. This was, what is that now? I can't even remember. Let's see. 32? No, more than that. 32, 33 years old. So this is 33 years ago. Look at that hair. So if you're interested in Taoist practices, definitely check out Montauk Chia's books. And he's got programs and everything. And his newer books, almost all of the diagrams and images, they're on glossy pages and very colorful. Very colorful. So there you go. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Any questions out there in the live chat, let me know. We're going to go ahead and bring this session to a close. I think we did maybe 30 minutes just now. And our hexagram was number 43, Lake over Heaven, Stride Resoluteness. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to bring this session to a close. And thank you so much for joining us today. And if we can leave here, we can remember to always have compassion when we're in conversation and communication with each other. Be willing to hear each other. Be willing to let go of our triggers and recognize that our triggers, when we're triggered by words, it's all on us. It's not the other person. And if we can step through that and be willing to navigate our own internal dialogue and emotions and to discover for ourselves why certain words, quote unquote, trigger us or not. It can help our communication with each other to be that much better when we choose to, as they say, err on the side of being willing to listen and at times create new ways of looking at things, because we have to recognize that we all come from a different perspective, and the value that we put on a certain word or a certain combination of letters does not mean the same for another person. And it's how we expand our hearts our horizons, our ability to communicate, and most importantly, our wisdom and growth. So let's take a nice deep centering breath. Thank you so much for being here. Let's take a moment to remember those who have come before us and have gone before us. I wish you peace and great bliss. Until next time, keep going, keep going. I love you.